Hi. If I told you that, in my opinion, Amberlynn Reid and Eugenia Cooney, for all of their physical differences, are actually extremely similar, would you believe me? What if I argued that they're boring content, vapid personalities,
So yeah, but yeah.
suspicious mother-daughter relationships,
I know she eats. She takes good care of herself.
and horrendous food issues make them, although not exactly the same, extremely similar, although they look about as different as two people can look. The pair are cut from the same concerning dysfunctional cloth. In this video, I'm going to assess the question, to what extent are Amberlynn Reid and Eugenia Cooney the same? Just to warn you, this is going to start out light but get darker. For a gentle start, one of the most obvious similarities between these two is their content. Both post long, boring content where they put on makeup, talk about their hair, show us the stuff they've bought, and go about relatively normal daily activities, like visiting Walmart. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with this content, and some people seem to really enjoy it, but it isn't exactly a stimulating watch. Somebody commented on an Amberlynn Reid video saying, "Girl, no wonder reaction channels get more views than you nowadays. You were literally just sitting in the same spot for 20 minutes straight, talking about anything. Go outside, vlog, do something." On Amberlynn Reid's recent video where she's talking about how her girlfriend Emily bought her Billie Eilish tickets, somebody comments, "This is the longest, most boring story I've ever heard." Somebody else says, "I'm literally watching on playback speed too, and I'm still bored as fuck." You would think, as it's their literal job, that they would make more effort to do interesting and entertaining things. To be fair to Eugenia, she does go to some places that Amberlynn could never dream of, like Disneyland for example. But even when she is somewhere as magical as Disneyland, she still somehow manages to make the content boring. There are often lots and lots of words being said, but nothing of any actual substance.
And yeah.
Not only is the content of both women painfully dreary, but they spend most of it staring at themselves in the viewfinder. Look how obsessively Eugenia stares at herself in this video. It's almost like she doesn't give a crap who she's talking to. She's filming entirely for her own pleasure and to hear herself speak. Amber does the same thing.
Not me using you guys as a mirror.
Often preening and posing and using the viewfinder as her own personal feedback loop. Somebody comments of Eugenia, "Am I nuts, or does anyone else feel like they're watching someone flirt with themselves? Every minute it's eyes to the camera, pulls a face, then twists the hair, all while talking absolute shit."
But yeah.
YouTuber Oh Lord Eats Geordie also comments on this in one of his live streams where he watches a Eugenia Cooney video. You can hear him explain how confused he is that she just stares at herself the entire time she's filming.
Yeah, it's gonna hopefully be.
Okay, I mean, is this girl talking to us, or is she looking at herself in the mirror? I mean, we're not even a minute into this video, and it's just herself checking herself out. I mean, like, what's going on?
I did some research on how being chronically online affects the psyche, particularly of women. Permit me to share this short excerpt with you from a 2011 study. Links to all my sources will be in the description as ever. The study is called Coalescing the Mirror and the Screen, Curating Oneself Online. Coalescing means putting two things together. I didn't know that, I had to Google it. Rockamora writes, "Modern society has a primordial relationship with the mirror and the screen." Just to add, I also had to Google what primordial means, and it means something that's happened since the beginning of time. The screen, where we watch ourselves, is just as destabilizing as the mirror in which we first observe our physical embodiment. One of the things that hit me when reading this study was the word destabilize. Look at this clip where Eugenia Cooney is looking at herself both in the viewfinder and in the mirror. She is the embodiment of Rockamora's claims that observing ourselves both in mirrors and on screen can become a catalyst for self-obsession. We see this in an Amberlynn video too.
Okay guys, so I have not been filming lately, and yes, I'm currently wearing a crown. I have not actually vlogged in a few days, and I just like hop back up on here with a freaking crown on my head and acting like I'm the queen of the world here. And I also did my makeup a little different.
I covered her viewfinder obsession in my last video, but it's important to establish here that in the content of both women, it's very obvious that they are obsessed with staring at themselves. Another factor which makes their content so similar is the way they speak. Somebody comments on a Eugenia Cooney video words to the effect of, "This is not vocabulary a 30-year-old woman would be using." Let's be honest, neither Amber or Eugenia are known for their mastery of the English language.
I used the wrong word.
So yeah.
But my god, sometimes it is tragic to watch. Listen to Amber talking about fitting into a chair at a Billie Eilish concert.
We were worried because the arms doesn't go up, right?
Doesn't go up? Doesn't go up? I don't mean to shame her for her lack of education, but I can't help but chuckle at some of the ways that Amber talks. If you want to see more of these, I recommend a video called Amberlynn Reid versus the English Language, which is by a channel called The Fupa Tales. This video is just a compilation of Amber's crappy vocabulary, and it's quite funny if it's taken tongue-in-cheek. Eugenia has vocabulary issues of her own. The girl says the same words over and over. It's actually kind of worrying. Trying to sit through a video of hers is kind of like pulling teeth. To research for this, I watched her video called Trying on Anime Outfits. We actually ran it through an AI, and she says the word like 396 times in one 27-minute video. That works out to an average of once every 2.7 seconds. I was going to subject you to a compilation of all the times Eugenia Cooney says like in this video, but I'm not that mean. Amber has the same issue. Somebody actually saved me from doing the work on this one because they comment underneath one of her videos saying, "You said the word like 181 times in this video, once every 5.66 seconds. Another commenter says, "Bro using like before each word. Do you know how many times you said the word like? Oh my god, Amber, you said like 1,000,000 times. I promise you don't need to use that word so much." We ran a load more Eugenia Cooney videos through an AI and the results are hilarious. We made this table to show the word repetition in her videos, and damn, look at this. That's crazy, right? The amount of times she uses the same word over and over again in a video is astonishing. It's like the whole video is just filler. And sure, we all use these kinds of filler words and vocal disfluencies when we're speaking, but I do think the sheer amount of these used in these two women's content is quite telling. But what exactly does it tell us? Well, I think it tells us that neither of them put that much effort into their content, which is another similarity they have. And yes, of course, they're free to film whatever they like and release whatever they like. Not everything needs to be flawlessly planned out long-form commentary. But I think the lack of effort from both, particularly from Amber, is really quite surprising considering that this is their literal job. Check out this clip from a recent Amberlynn video where she says,
"This is not a get ready with me. This is literally, I'm trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, or more like 3. I'm trying to eat, do my makeup, and film, because these are all things that I need to do. And I just feel kind of rushed, so I'm just like combining them all together."
To be honest, all of her videos feel like this. Vaguely rushed, kind of shitty, and just a bit blah. Frankly, they're duller than watching paint dry. The videos are often just clips thrown together, sometimes in a completely random order. There's no evidence of effort or design from Amberlynn. Something that did make me laugh is on an Amberlynn Reid video where she's sitting in front of a huge clock. Somebody comments, "How fitting that she's sitting in front of a clock that's comically large and doesn't work." I thought that was so funny. Somebody else comments with reference to this being her job. "You couldn't take 20 minutes out of your day to comb your hair before you film yourself for the world to see, but this is your job though, right?" This is even funnier when you take into account the fact that in almost every single video, Amber begins with a comment on her appearance. For example, in her video Why I Stopped Drinking, she says,
So I was hardcore cuddling with the fur babies, and as you guys know, I am allergic to cats. So my eyes earlier were super red, and now that's why they're kind of swollen, and I have fur all over me.
and in her video We Need to Talk, she starts it by saying,
I know I like to point out the obvious, but my hair is a mess.
and even in her video The Truth, where she's talking about how her literal cat has just gone missing, she still bothers to say,
I did just get out of the shower, so my hair is wet and a mess. Don't mind that.
and if you think about it, she's at work, right? This is how she pays Emily's bills. I mean, her bills, excuse me. So how come she doesn't bother to clean herself up before filming? How hard is it to present yourself nicely for what is basically work? It's so obvious that she just doesn't care enough to make the effort. The thing is as well, if she starts the video by mentioning her appearance, why not quickly fix your appearance and then film? If you feel the need to excuse it, then why don't you feel the need to quickly sort it out before putting the camera on? I know sometimes she doesn't do this, but even in videos where she starts with her hair and makeup done, she still often finds something to apologize about.
So before anyone says anything, I know my bed is like a horrid mess. Like, look at it, like, girl, get my shit together.
It's odd, especially as being on camera is her literal job. So unfortunately, it relates directly to what she looks like. To Eugenia's credit, she doesn't seem to have this issue. She always looks half dead, put together. And even though she doesn't comment on her appearance in videos or apologise for it, I still feel like the content itself is kind of half-baked. As I've said already, she repeats herself like mad. In her video where she tries on Barbie outfits, she says the word yeah or so yeah so many times. She also just says basic stupid stuff in her videos. For example,
I feel like glosses can definitely just kind of like make your lips look a lot like shinier sometimes.
it's like, oh my god, groundbreaking. And listen to what she says in this video where she bakes with her mum.
Whoa, butter.
That's the butter.
It looks really like buttery.
I mean, way to point out the obvious, Eugenia. I suspect that part of the reason this content has done so well on the internet, despite its dull nature, is partially because Eugenia and Amber have both consistently posted for lots of years and built up a relatively loyal fan base. But I also think that it's because both of these women have a kind of watching a car crash in slow motion vibe to their content, and you kind of can't look away. I think this is mainly because of the extreme bodies that they both inhabit. Although they are at opposite ends of the spectrum, they both evoke a pretty serious reaction. Seeing footage like this, you can't help but have that, oh my gosh, what the heck am I looking at feel. When it comes to their content, they both absolutely shamelessly monetize their EDs, with no concern for the effects or the ethics of doing this on their viewers. I'm going to talk about their influence a little bit later in the video. Another thing that's true for both of these YouTubers is the kind of strange and peculiar relationships that they both have with their mothers. When Amber was young, she was placed into the foster care system because of her mum's addiction issues. I'm not sure exactly how the timeline of that played out, but what we do know is that from the years 2008 to roughly 2020, Amberlynn Reid didn't see her mum at all. In her video, Seeing My Mum for the First Time in 12 Years, Amberlynn details what her relationship with her mum used to be like.
Me and my mom were actually always really close, even with me being in foster care. Like, I've always been that unconditional, like, my mom hung the moon and she painted the freaking sunset. Like, so no matter what we went through in the past, we always had that bond.
I don't have enough information to be really sure what Amber and her mum went through, but interestingly, in this video, Amber also claims that her mum has always felt guilty for her size. Amber says,
She has always blamed herself for my size. I just don't want her to do that anymore because, you know, it's my choice, like what I put in my mouth and such.
This sentence from Amber is really interesting because it appears to show her, for once, genuinely taking responsibility for her choices. And she's not acting like it's everyone else's fault, which, if you've watched Amber for a long time, you'll realise is kind of a big deal. She has a tendency to blame other people for her problems. Although we don't have too much evidence for the relationship between Amber and her mum being strained exactly, there are still a few things we can look at. The first thing is when Amberlynn outed her mum's sexuality on her YouTube channel. In her video, Come to Pride With Us, she says,
So we're going to Pride.
Yay. You excited?
Yeah, I'm not the only gay person in this room right now.
her mum reacts with,
Amber.
You can see her mum's shock and surprise at being outed. She clearly doesn't feel entirely comfortable about this. And Amber says,
Don't worry, I'll edit it.
but she doesn't, because here I am showing it to you now. I think that outing someone on camera, suggesting that you're going to delete it in the edit and then uploading it to YouTube is very, very wrong and quite dodgy. I understand that everyone's relationship with their own mother is different. My mum is a fucking gem. I love that woman with my entire heart, and she's going to watch this video, so I think that will make her smile. I don't really feel comfortable making sweeping comments about Amber and her mum's relationship. I'm sure there's all sorts going on there that we don't know about. But I do hypothesize from what I've seen that Amber and her mum have more of a friendship than a mother-daughter relationship. All this to say that clearly there is an element of the relationship which is somewhat dysfunctional, in my opinion. This is also absolutely the case for Eugenia, but we're going to tackle that in a minute. I mentioned earlier that Amberlynn Reid claims that her mum feels guilty for Amber's size, and this got me thinking, to what extent is it likely to be her mum's fault that she is overweight? What role might her mum have played in this? So, true to form, I found a study which talks about how parenting does in fact affect childhood obesity. It was done by GM Ling and Mekdes Geberarium. It's called Embracing Parenting Roles in Childhood Obesity. The researchers write, parents serve as critical role models to shape the children's healthy lifestyle behaviours, including eating behaviour, physical activity, sleep and screen time. Parental poor feeding practices, indulgent parenting style, parental stress and unsupportive home environment are identified as home and parental characteristics contributing to childhood obesity. The influence of parents on childhood obesity starts from preconception and across the entire childhood to even early adulthood. The findings of this study show that although we can't pin Amber's size on her mum, it is absolutely true that if a child is fat in their early childhood and formative years, that parents absolutely do have a responsibility to act on that, as they are the only ones who have influence over the child's habits and environment. I know there are hundreds of things which may have influenced Amber's weight, but to say that it's entirely not her mum's fault is a bit dodgy to me, and the research doesn't really agree with that. Sure, now she's an adult, she is free to make her own choices, but certainly her mum would have had an influence, or should have had an influence, over Amber when she was young. So when Amber says that her mum blames herself for her size, maybe her mum kind of should. The pair give some weird, funny kind of content moments on Amber's channel, like this one where they go luggage shopping together.
Can I squeeze?
Look, I'm crushing your head.
I'm crushing your head. Yes, I am. Oh, there we go.
This is just silly and funny, and it is kind of nice to see them having a good relationship and mucking around, knowing that Amber didn't see her for 12 years. But there definitely is still something slightly dodgy about their relationship. One person who has received absolutely loads of commentary, and rightfully so, is Eugenia's mum. If Amber's mum is attempting to take responsibility for Amber's size, then I think Eugenia's mum absolutely has to as well. There are so many threads I could pull at with this topic, and I do need to be careful because my last video got age restricted, which was just really frustrating, and I don't want that to happen again. But it's clear that the relationship between Eugenia and her mum is very odd. In the video Day Out With My Mum, there's lots of moments that are like crazy awkward. Just look at how these two stare at themselves in the viewfinder and don't really say anything at all. In May 2023, Eugenia and her mum made a video where they bake cookies together. Now, there are all sorts of weird things going on in this video, believe me. I'm going to tap into just some of them now. The first one is, as I've already mentioned, the unbelievable awkwardness that exists between these two. It's like they barely know each other.
They're kind of already looking like cookies. Like it's like
I
cookie
don't bake,
consistency.
so this is
Same.
gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it should be an experience.
I cook. I have a good cook, I think. But bacon, this is a whole new
This
book.
is like different.
One commenter suggests that this video should be called "My Mum Bakes Crumble Cookies While I Body Check in the Viewfinder for Half an Hour and Try to Remember What an Oven Is." Somebody else comments this, which made me laugh. There are several weird things about this video, and not just the butter moment, which I've already mentioned.
Whoa, butter.
There's the butter.
It looks really like buttery.
Eugenia just kind of stands there, floating around. She's not doing much baking at all, she's just kind of parroting what her mum says.
Are we making cookies?
We're making it right now.
Oh, okay.
She hardly touches ingredients, and rather just kind of like narrates what's happening. The pair often speak over each other, and frankly act like two of the most awkward TV hosts in the world.
Lower it. Turn it off and lower it.
Okay, I mean, I think that, like, it kind of looks like frosting.
Okay, lower it
like-
down.
It's like they've been thrown together and don't really know who's supposed to be doing what. There is zero chemistry there for a mother-daughter relationship. She's pushing 30 and is having her mum bake her own birthday cookies as she stands around bewildered at literally everything going on around her and constantly body checks herself and talks like a 7-year-old. Eugenia's mum also barely looks at her in this video. I actually watched it through, which was quite tiresome to be honest. And it's true that there are barely any moments where Eugenia's mum actually looks at her daughter. It's so strange. This is actually the case in most videos that Eugenia and her mum are in. For example, in the video Spending the Day with My Mum, her mum is talking in a store about what makeup they need, but she doesn't look at her properly. I get that this could be because it's pretty awkward having a camera in your face, but even in videos where they're sat down talking, there's basically no eye contact between the pair. The reason I mention this is because it shows this like strange vibe between them. I wonder if Eugenia's mum can't stand to look at her because she doesn't want to face up to looking at what she failed to stop. This reminds me of how Amberlynn's mum face palms when she looks at Amber eating chocolate candy in the car. We're going to come to that in a minute. The way the pair speak to each other is not only kind of awkward, but there's also a severely uncomfortable, childish vibe to it. We will cover the notion of childishness a little bit later in the video. But listen to how they speak to each other when they go to this nature park. The way Eugenia speaks back to her mum, they both have this insanely infantile vibe in their voice.
Here we are.
The nature center, pollinator gardens. Oh my gosh.
Pollinator
I gotta see
gardens.
this. Oh, this is the best.
Pretty cool, right? Oh, look at the beautiful butterflies, Mom.
I love this.
The butterflies are so pretty.
Yeah, it establishes food sources for bees, butterflies, hummingbirds.
Oh,
all the
that's
things we
so
love.
nice. Yeah, all our
Oh,
favorite
I need one of
things.
these.
Me
Mike
too.
was telling me these are weeds.
Oh, no, I guess not.
Maybe I shouldn't be pulling them
Well,
up.
maybe we shouldn't if
Let's
that's
go
what
see
they're
what
gonna
else
bring.
we can learn. I'm
All right,
excited.
let's go.
There's a hilarious clip from an Oh Lordy It's Geordie live stream. Just watch Geordie's face as he listens to how these two talk to each other.
Got the windmill. Wow. Oh, yeah. Look at that bear. I think we'd see him. Oh, bird walks. No.
Wow, look at the bear inside the store. Didn't think we'd see that. You would not talk to your mother like that. She's talking to her like she's 3 years old.
And listen now to this clip where Eugenia's mum asks if a store has Gucci makeup.
I don't know. I feel like they're always moving stuff. Yeah, they do have Gucci. Yeah, Gucci over there, yeah.
However you want to interpret this weirdness between Eugenia and her mum, you can't deny that it's there in her content. Eugenia's mum has been accused of being an enabler, and I think that that is absolutely true. And another place where we see this is how often Eugenia's mum comments on Eugenia's appearance. She does this in a way which I think, for somebody with an ED, must be unhelpful. In the video Day Out with My Mum, her mother says,
All right, lovely, beautiful girl, where do you want to go?
Where do you want to go, Mom?
in case you didn't catch that, that was, all right, lovely, beautiful girl, where do you want to go?
All right, lovely, beautiful girl, where do you want to go?
Looking at her daughter, just looking at her right now, the way she looks, the danger she's in, and then hearing her call her lovely, beautiful girl just feels off to me. It's like she's in some way validating Eugenia's malnourished form. A little later in this video, in the footage I'm showing now, we hear Eugenia's mum call her beautiful again. This footage contains copywritten music, so I can't play the audio, but the whole thing is pretty striking. Seeing her daughter looking how she does, the bright fluorescent chairs, the awkward way she won't look at the camera or look at her mum properly, the state that she's in this clip, it's just all so unnerving. One commenter observes this and writes, her mum, happy and cheerful. Daughter, literally dying. Someone else says, how is her mum so calm and happy? It's crazy. Your daughter is literally dying in front of your eyes. I'll put another couple of interesting comments of this ilk on the screen now. Her daughter is looking anything but beautiful. She looks like she's not far from meeting her maker, if you get what I mean. And her mother is pointing a camera at her and enjoying this. It's so strange. I think Eugenia's mum filming her and calling her beautiful while she preens on camera and effectively turning a blind eye to her daughter's evident issue is quite reminiscent of this clip from an Amberlynn Reid video where she and her mum are eating freeze-dried candy in a car, and her mum says,
you know, they're gonna get mad at me for laughing while you're eating candy. You're such a bad mom.
They're both laughing, but the thing is, I don't think that it's in any way funny. It's actually quite serious. The mothers of both Eugenia and Amber seem to have this ability to just kind of shove their heads in the sand and not really interact with what's happening in front of them. In fact, if we watch this clip of Amber and her mum again, but closer, we can see Amber's mum makes this comment right after Amber bites a piece of candy.
Chocolate.
Her mum sort of shakes her head as if to say, fuck, I know I shouldn't be doing this. And then she puts her face in her hands and like face palms. I wonder if that face palm is kind of like a subtle show of her shame. It's like she knows she's fucked up right then and there, because that's when she says,
They're gonna get mad at me for laughing while you're eating candy. You're such a bad mom.
It's like she's projecting her own thoughts onto Amber's audience. This, though, from Amber's mum is somewhat humorous. At least Amber's mum addresses that she's messing up. What Eugenia's mum does, in my opinion, is far more insidious, because she doesn't address it at all. She just soldiers on and affirms her daughter's ED, in my opinion, making it worse by complimenting her and filming her.
She takes good care of herself.
One of the worst instances of this, which is really, really concerning, is in a Eugenia Cooney video which is called There's Nothing I Can Do. Eugenia is shamelessly, heartbreakingly showing her frail body. She shows how she isn't able to throw balls and she can't do normal activities because she's so weak. I don't know for sure, but I have a sickening, vile feeling that it might be her mum who filmed this video. I can't prove that to be the case, but I did find this clip where we can see Eugenia and her mum in a garden.
Yeah, but no, she does such a good job, you guys. She has so many pretty flowers.
And suddenly the camera looks like it's been handed to Eugenia's mum, because all of a sudden the camera is on Eugenia, who's standing in front of this bush. And that clip, the way it's shot, the angle, the way it's held, it looks exactly the same as the one where Eugenia is throwing the ball. And I really do think that her mum filmed that ball video, which when you think about it, is sickening. I found a master's thesis about Eugenia, which has a long fancy name which I'll put here, which talks about this video and highlights how messed up it is that she made it. Although this study is quite interesting, I'm surprised that it doesn't mention at all who shot the video. If it indeed was filmed by Eugenia's mum, just take that in. Have a look at these clips and picture in your mind what kind of mother could be holding a camera towards their child who looks like this, and tell me that that doesn't make you extremely uncomfortable. Hello, Editing Rachel here. I've just noticed that during this entire video, you can actually hear the sound of the person holding the camera breathing really heavily. It's kind of hard to make it out over the music. I'll put it in here with the sound turned up just so you can like really try and hear it.
Oh, wow. Okay, So that was me trying to play football.
With the heavy breathing considered, I'm even more sure that this is Eugenia's mum holding the camera. Now look at this. In the video, my mum turns me preppy. We can see both Eugenia and her mum in the thumbnail. Now look at the difference between how the two of them look. Eugenia looks small, young and thin, and her mum looks perfectly nice, but also kind of frumpy and is obviously much older than Eugenia. Both women are existing in the same space, but one is unbelievably slender, young and thin, while the other is older and less slender. This has been said before, but I wonder if perhaps Eugenia's mum is somewhat living vicariously through her daughter. I actually watched the entire My Mum Turns Me Preppy video, and although it's silly and light-hearted, the mum is clearly enjoying treating her daughter as something of a dress-up doll. She says at one point,
Get 7,000 likes on this one, then I could do like a fairy princess, a Disney princess. It'll really be a mom's treat.
which I just found a bit weird. It's a treat to see her adult daughter dressed up as a fairy princess. That is really quite infantilizing. Watching this video made me wonder, does Eugenia's mum wish that she was a young, thin, famous girl? In the same part of the video that I just showed, Eugenia's mum says,
Your fans are gonna love the look.
and I just wonder slightly if Eugenia's mum wishes that she had fans. This made me curious, so I decided to do some research into how EDs form and what role mothers may or may not have on this happening. And guess what? I found this. A study carried out in 2009 called Influence of Parents' Eating Attitudes on EDs found that a mother's dissatisfaction and drive for thinness were related to their adolescent child's long-term ED. Furthermore, a mother's long-term drive for thinness actually seemed to predict EDs in an adolescent daughter. I've seen lots of speculation online about what may or may not have caused Eugenia's ED, but how interesting that this study shows that her mum may be somewhat responsible. And like we've already said, that could be the case for Amber's mum too. I've also noticed that whenever Eugenia Cooney and her mum go on a day out, Eugenia always sits in the back of the car. Somebody comments on Eugenia's video and says that there's a giant elephant in the front seat, which I thought was kind of insightful. I understand that this might be for vlogging or safety reasons, but it's just super odd to me. Why is this financially successful woman not able or willing to drive herself around the place? I don't think we've ever seen any evidence of Eugenia herself doing any driving, but as I say this, I imagine Eugenia trying to pull up a handbrake and I think, oh my god, her arm would snap. And I try and imagine her looking around and being aware of the hazards, but I truly don't think she can see past her own wig. She certainly can't see past that fringe. This talk of driving makes me think of Amberlynn's mum, who drove her 18 hours to a known feeder's house. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Amberlynn Reid has recently started dating a known feeder. You can watch this video of mine just to get an idea of what I'm talking about. Now, we don't know if Amber's mum knew that Emily was a feeder. I don't think Amber's mum is that present on the internet, and she was probably too afraid of Amber's outbursts to actually refuse to drive her. But once again, it's a case of one of these two girls, Amber or Eugenia, not being independent enough to get themselves from A to B, but instead having to rely on their mum. I remember the day I passed my driving test. I went out driving with no one else in the car for the first time ever, and I just broke down in tears. Like, I started sobbing. And I remember that moment of being able to get in the car and drive myself. It just felt incredible. I felt so independent. It was so unbelievably freeing. The feeling of being able to drive is like nothing else, and it is really a big part of coming of age. So I just observed that both of these women are kind of infantilized by the fact that they either can't or won't drive, and whenever we do see them in a car, it's being driven by someone else. Speaking of infantilization, in their own different ways, Amber and Eugenia both appear extremely childish. In Eugenia, we see a strange obsession with Disney and anime, playing dress up and putting on makeup. She almost never discusses anything of any kind of seriousness. She doesn't share opinions, think critically, or bring much to the table at all. All she seems to do is skit around in silly outfits, talking in a fake high-pitched voice.
I could definitely mix my voice a lot higher if I wanted to.
We'll come back to the voice in a minute, and frolic through her childish life. I have to be careful what I say here because I don't want to get age restricted, but the dressing up in particular is odd to me. Her channel is full of videos of her trying on clothes and repeating the same reaction to each outfit, and obviously shamelessly using this as an excuse to show her body. It's horrifying to watch, and it's mirrored somewhat in Amberlynn's own channel. There are hundreds of hauls on Amber's channel where she just tries on all different clothes. If she's not eating on camera, then she's buying things she doesn't need in Walmart. showing hauls of these items and sticking plastic gems to her face, she also displays unbelievably childish behaviour. And I think because we have a lot more side characters on Amber's channel than we do on Eugenia's, it's quite easy to see the manipulative, childish ways that Amber throws her weight around, if you'll pardon the pun. Under a video where Amberlynn Reid is getting ready for a Billie Eilish concert, somebody comments, "Pressing plastic gems on your face and almost crying about going to a Billie Eilish concert. Am I watching the vlog of a 15-year-old? I think that this childishness occurs for different reasons in both Amber and Eugenia, but it's visible and prevalent in both of them. In this video I just mentioned of Amber's, she talks about going to the Billie Eilish concert and she says,
"This girl's about to live her dream."
I understand being excited to go and see somebody you love in concert, but when Amber does in fact go, she adds a kind of inspirational pep talk to the end of the video, where she says,
"Deep down, I never thought I was capable, but I was capable." Like, you're capable of anything when you really put your mind to it. And you guys, use me as motivation. Like, if you feel like if you can't get yourself out there and you can't be in a crowd of 20,000 people, it's literally worth it. Like, seeing Billie changed my life.
And while I appreciate the sentiment of this, because lots of bigger people are held back from life experiences because of their size, we have to remind ourselves that she's talking about going to a concert here, not achieving something that she worked really hard for. I understand and respect that for her, going to a concert is a huge deal, but we cannot ignore the elephant in the room, which is that this is a normal experience for women of her age and background. It's not something to generally think of as a life achievement, or to get up on your soapbox about and use as a catalyst to become a motivational speaker. Some comments under this video highlight this point well. Somebody says, "This is such a basic thing for someone of your financial standings. I'm floored that you're acting like this is climbing Everest." Somebody else says, "Has she ever been to a concert? This woman hasn't experienced life. Honestly, it's quite sad." Now, I don't want to just pile up on her, and I can absolutely see the excitement of going to see someone you love in concert. I remember my girlfriend bought us tickets to see Arctic Monkeys at the Emirates Stadium in London as a graduation present, and oh my god, it was incredible. But the difference here is that Amber is showing through her reaction just how small her life is. I know she has this small life mindset partially because she lacks mobility. I do think it's really sad that a woman of her age acts like this about just a relatively normal life event. This small world mindset is prevalent in both Eugenia and Amber. A place where it's painfully obvious is the number of hauls that they make. Whether it's clothes, makeup, diaries, groceries, well, not on Eugenia's part. It almost seems like their lives are so small and contained, for different reasons I'll admit, that they both kind of rely on buying things which they can bring into their homes to kind of give their lives meaning. Looking at Eugenia in particular, she releases loads and loads of makeup hauls. She seems to buy every Jeffree Star release. But again, these videos are like watching a child play with makeup. In her video Jeffree Star Scorpio Palette and Collection, she shows all of these amazing products, but she has nothing interesting to say about them. She calls everything amazing.
Amazing, 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 amazing.
As well as this repetitive childish content, she speaks in an insanely high register. This might be a leap, okay, but let me cook here. You know Michael Jackson, the famous alleged nonce, who had an obsession with childhood, so much so that he built a literal Neverland in his back garden inspired by Peter Pan? Well, he was another child star who didn't seem to want to grow up, and he also spoke in a strange, affected high register. I just think that that comparison is interesting, but I'll leave that one there. Both Amber and Eugenia have found success online, making videos about their lives, and I do think it's possible that having this attention focused on them at such a young age may have kind of played a role in keeping their lives small. How hard must it be to go out and have a normal day and have normal life experiences when you're famous in your generation, at least online? And not only are you well known, but you exist in a shockingly extreme body, which naturally draws attention to you. I think this, as well as their strange upbringings and lack of healthy mother-daughter relationships, have meant that they both develop this kind of small world mindset where their only joy comes from simple, easily attained pleasures like shopping. When it comes to Eugenia, I do think that her mother plays a role in her issues to a degree. We've kind of covered parts of this already, but when it comes to her childishness, I wonder if Eugenia's mum is one of the reasons that she's so childish. If you watch her content with her mother, it almost seems like her mum is a child herself. Perhaps this is the behaviour that Eugenia's had modelled to her. Watch this clip where Eugenia tells her mum that it's her birthday month.
It's her birthday month? Yeah, Mom, you excited for your birthday?
And her mum says,
I love my birthday.
Yes, she does love her birthday.
it's like a kid. Amberlynn also behaves like a kid a lot of the time. Because of Amber's size, she has had to be cared for in some way in her adult life. Her ex-partner Beck said after their relationship,
when you're taking care of someone 24/7, you sort of lose yourself. You lose bits and pieces of yourself trying to give to everyone else.
this illustrates that Amber has been so big in the past that she has needed a genuine carer, and this is, of course, insanely infantilizing. Not only this, but Amber also displays stunning levels of childishness when it comes to her pets. Amber has now lost 2 cats, both times because of her own negligence. Not only does she appear to never walk her dogs, she says in a recent video,
So usually I take the dogs out.
now sure, I open my back door to the garden to let my dog out for a wee, but I also walk her a lot. Look at this video of her on a road trip to Wisconsin to see her girlfriend Emily. Try and tell me that this woman is taking her dog for a walk anywhere. She can barely walk herself. In clips where we see Amber walking on camera, it's clear from her shoulder movement that this is a real struggle for her. This alone makes it clear that walking her dog is clearly not something that she's capable of doing. I would argue that owning a pet which you can't take care of is extremely childish, and it shows a lack of responsibility, which again is an infantile way to act. Not only do we know that she doesn't care properly for her dogs, but we also see that she is neglectful to her cats, to the point where, like I've said, she's lost 2. YouTuber Megan Ann made a video recently where she talks about Amber's cats going missing, and she describes how whenever she's had a house with a back door, she's so careful when she goes in and out of the door.
When I open the door, I am so cautious and so aware that it is open. I go outside to grab whatever I'm grabbing. I shut the door. I open it, make sure there's no cats in my way. I go in the door, shut it. You will never catch me leaving a door open.
I think being this careful is quite standard, and Amber definitely has shown some negligence on her part. It's also kind of telling that because of Amber's size, she's not physically able to go and look for her cat herself. Instead, she's having to rely on her girlfriend to do this for her. The inability of Amber to actually care properly for an animal shows childishness, and the inability to go and physically look for that animal when it goes missing shows even more childishness, in my opinion. It's kind of funny that her girlfriend is called her emotional support feeder by Zachary Michael. When you think about it, learning to self-feed is one of the first things that you kind of learn to do as a child. So the fact that she's got herself into a situation where somebody else might be feeding her is just so telling about the maturity levels and the stage of development which she has or hasn't reached. Also, a quick nod to Pets and Eugenia Cooney here. I couldn't help but notice that Eugenia's dog Buzz is actually pretty overweight, and I just thought that that was kind of ironic. Look at her bony ass hand on Buzz's chubby little back. It's just food for thought. In spite of this small world mindset and proclivity to childishness that both of these 2 women show, they still both certainly wield a great amount of influence, which is kind of odd. Them sharing their shallow, contained lives online has actually influenced the lives of loads of other people. You've only got to look at the numbers to see this. But it's undeniable that these 2 women have varying degrees of influence over their viewers. Influence which may affect how these viewers choose to consume food. Now, when it comes to Amber, this influence might actually prove to be a good one. There are hordes and hordes of people who claim that viewing Amberlynn's content has actually inspired them to lose weight. One person comments under an Amberlynn video, "I thank Amber every day for giving me the strength to quit sugar and start going to the gym. 30 pounds down and going strong, thanks Amber." Somebody else says, "I've struggled with food addiction for as long as I can remember. Watching you has really given me the strength and mental fortitude I need to get it under control. I've been eating at or under my maintenance for like 15 days now, and I'm down 10 pounds. So this is the case for Amber, but I was interested more so on how the effects of Eugenia's body and eating or lack thereof has affected her viewers. So I was digging around on Reddit, as I do for lots of my videos, and I found a few people saying similar things about Eugenia, but this time it was much, much darker. Somebody says, "I'm an independent adult with a stable job, studies, and a happy relationship of 4 years now, and still she's triggering my ED, and I recovered 8 years ago." I've read a bunch of studies which basically say that when it comes to causing somebody to have an ED, this won't happen through consuming content of somebody who also has this. However, it has been proven that if you already have this ED, then consuming this content will make it much, much worse. So we don't need to worry about healthy people people who watch Eugenia's content, but we do need to worry about the unhealthy people who already struggle with the same thing she appears to be struggling with. These people might find it difficult to get better if they interact with her content. So while Amber's influence has in part been for good, because she's inspired lots of people to lose weight through her channel, it seems like Eugenia might be having a much more negative effect. However, we don't really know what kind of influence each of these YouTubers may or may not have on their following, because this is very, very hard to quantify, but there is at least evidence of this being an issue for some of their viewers. And in my opinion, this is by far and away the most dangerous part of their content. This is also highlighted by the comments on Amber and Eugenia's videos. Although comments on Eugenia's videos are generally kinder than the comments on Amber's videos, they both still receive comments from viewers which express concern. Things to the effect of, please go and get help, please stop monetizing your ED, and so on. Although Amber's comments are often much harsher, I think that's because Amber's bad behaviour has been much more overt than Eugenia's has. But it's possible that what Eugenia is doing is actually far more dangerous than what Amber is doing. As I was scripting this video, it was actually quite serendipitous because somebody called @OhLookACow commented on my last Amberlynn video saying this: "Honestly, I've been thinking about parallels between some of her behaviour and Eugenia Cooney. I can't shake the feeling that while on completely different ends of the spectrum in terms of body image and behaviour towards food, the vibes are strangely familiar." I wanted to just nod to this person in this video because it was just so funny to me that as I was writing this script, the person commented that exact thing on my Amberlynn video. In summary, I find this all sad. It's very, very sad. It's sad in the way that a plane crash is sad, in the way that we as observers can't do anything to help either of these people. I still think it is valid and interesting to compare the two of them and how they behave on the internet, and it remains a very striking image, these two women who, despite what their contrasting frames may suggest, are actually really, really quite similar. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.